Hi everybody, welcome back. I'm glad that you're here. Can you just give me a thumbs up in the comments to let me know that you can see and hear me, and also let me know that that the software's working properly. Apparently, I found out just a couple of days ago, after doing these lives for nearly 2 years, that it also helps the platform know that the broadcast has gone live. Live and learn, eh? Brilliant. Thank you, Tom. Welcome. Thank you, Nikki. Thank you, Rach, and welcome to both of you. Thank you, Steve. Welcome. Thank you, Matthew. Welcome. Keep them coming in, but whilst people are still joining, let me tell you why I chose today's topic. Now, beginning of the week, I was talking to a business owner, someone who's been running their business for over 10 years, a really smart guy who works incredibly hard. He's someone who genuinely cares about his team. And he said something to me that I've heard dozens and dozens of times over the years. He said, I know what I need to do, I just can't seem to actually do it. And that's one of the most honest things a business owner can admit to, because I think it points to something that's really important. And it's something that most business content and business books completely ignore. So today, we're not going to be talking about tactics, we're not going to be talking about strategies or how-tos. We're going to be going into something much more fundamental than any of those things. Now, I can still see that people are arriving, but I do want to be fair to those who've arrived on time. So I'm going to get straight into it. I want to start by painting a picture, a simple picture. So imagine you're going on a trip, you're going in your car. So you get into your car and you put your destination to your sat nav. The sat nav then calculates the route and you follow the directions. Simple enough, but, and this is a real big but, what if the sat nav isn't running the latest updated version of the software? And since the last version, there's been some major changes to the roads between where you're starting from and where you're heading to. Now, if that happens, the chances of you getting to the right place are slim. You're not going to end up where you want to go. You could end up going round and round in circles. You could end up in totally the wrong place. And the problem isn't your driving, is it? The problem is the operating system in the sat nav isn't up to date and it's working from an out-of-date map. But you see this, the same thing happens week in, week out, every single day of the week in businesses, where owners are focusing on the actions. What should I do? How do I grow sales? How do I recruit better people? How do I improve cash flow? How do I get more time? How do I increase profit? They're looking for better directions. But underneath those particular questions sits a more powerful thing. The operating system, the map, the beliefs, the assumptions, the rules that they've accepted, often without even realizing it, about how business works. And whether those rules are true or not, it almost doesn't matter, because if you believe them, you're going to act in accordance with those beliefs. So by way of demonstration, I'm going to give you examples of 3 common beliefs in business, and I'll bring them to life, real life stories if I can. And these are beliefs that I've seen play out many times in my 44 years in business, and they're definitely played out in some of my businesses. Now, belief number 1 is nobody can do this as well as me. Nobody can do this as well as me. So I worked with an owner a few years back, and she was absolutely brilliant at what she did, an expert in her field. And because of that, her being the expert, she built the business in such a way that it was pretty much dependent on her being there every single day. Every client wanted her personally. Every problem came to her. Every decision needed her sign off. Now, on the surface, that looked like the right thing to do. It looked like a strength. After all, it showed she cared. It showed she had high standards. It showed She wanted things done right. But, big but again, what that actually meant was she couldn't take a holiday without the phone ringing all the time. She couldn't carve out enough time in a diary to do any work on the business, improving the business, because she was always buried so deep in it. And she was often working late into the night and giving up her weekends just to play catch up. And she was exhausted. But here's the thing. A business hadn't grown in nearly 3 years because she'd become the limiting factor. She was the bottleneck. The business had stalled because she'd become the ceiling. And every attempt they had to grow the business eventually ran into her limits of time, knowledge, decision making, leadership. And all those things are driven by her thinking, her beliefs, her operating system, her map. Now, when we actually sat down to talk about this, she thought this was all down to the fact that she didn't have enough time. But time wasn't the problem. The erroneous beliefs that she had were the problem. And the moment she actually started asking a different question, for instance, who can do this, or who can I develop to handle this, everything began to change for her in the business. Now, out of interest, if that relates to anybody on this live, can you just type yes into the comments? I thought they were talking about me. Thing is, Rach, it could just as easily be talking about myself, because we all do this. And the amount of people that are saying yes in the comments sort of proves the point, doesn't it? We all do it. Now, belief number 2 is a real common one, and that is that customers only buy on price. And I've seen this one cause enormous damage to lots of good businesses over the years, because when you get an owner who believes that customers are only interested in the cheapest option, to win a sale, they do things like discount, avoid putting the prices up. They'll chase volume they'll chase volume to make the numbers work, but that doesn't work because the margins get thinner and thinner and thinner. Now, I remember one particular business, good product, good people, good reputation, but the owner was absolutely convinced that if he raised his prices, they'd lose customers. And that meant that he hadn't increased his prices in over 2 years. But in that time, his costs had gone up significantly. And his staff who'd been loyal to him were now beginning to leave because they hadn't had a pay rise in over 2 years. And the owner himself was working harder than he ever worked, but the business was actually going backwards. Now, when I asked him, have you actually ever lost a customer to price? He had to think about it. He had to think hard about it. And the answer was hardly ever. So that meant that the belief of customers only buy on price was actually running the business, not the evidence. So the issue was never the pricing, it's the assumption that was sitting underneath pricing. And belief number 3 is that the team can't be trusted. And that shows up in behaviours such as an owner feeling the need to check everything, an owner who makes sure they're CC'd in on every single email, an owner who has to approve every decision, an owner who sometimes redoes his team's work and then wonders why his team never take the initiative. But the painful truth is, if you don't trust your people with responsibility, they're never going to learn to carry it, are they? And that means the very behaviour you're afraid of, people getting things wrong, becomes more likely because if they never get a chance to prove things right, get things right. Now, that owner might think that's a team problem, but it's not a team problem. Once again, it's a belief problem. Now, I think it's really important to say that these beliefs, they're not bad beliefs. In fact, they were probably almost certainly incredibly useful at some point in your business career. The belief that it was, if it's to be, it's up to me, has probably helped you when you first started your business. The belief that hard work matters probably helped you step up during difficult times. The belief that customers really matter has probably helped you build some long-lasting and valuable relationships. The challenge is that the beliefs that get you here are not always the beliefs that are going to get you to where you want to go next. Now, when I'm working with clients, a question I often ask is, what are the traits and characteristics that have got you to here? And clients usually come up with a pretty comprehensive list. Put your teeth in, guess, comprehensive list with things like hard work, persistence, doing whatever it takes, determination, taking responsibility. And that's brilliant. All those things matter. But when I follow up with the next question, which of those strengths could become a weakness if you overuse them, then that's where things get pretty interesting. So let's say take one of those, determination. Now, determination is genuinely one of the most important qualities a business owner can have. But determination can morph into stubbornness over time. And that can result in people refusing to change course, even when the evidence says they should. Responsibility, another brilliant quality to have, but it can become control and the inability to let go of anything. Hard work, absolutely essential, especially in the early years in business, but it can become exhaustion when you choose to work 70 hours a week because stopping just feels dangerous for you. Attention to detail, vital, but it can become micromanagement when you're so involved in the how that you never get to lead the what. So that means that the very thing that helped you succeed in the past can be the thing that's holding you back in the present. Now, I want to point out that's not failure. It's not failure. It's growth. This is what it looks like when the business needs its owner to step up and evolve to another level. Now, that's why I created my Confident Roadmap, because most business owners that I meet don't need more information. They're already swamped in information. What they need is a better way of thinking about their business. They need a more up-to-date operating system. They need a better map. And Confident is an acronym for the 9 steps needed for you to build a profitable cash-rich business that's fun to run, and it gives you the freedom that you yearn for. Now, I'm not going to go through all those steps today, but I will name them so you can actually see the shape of the map. So Confident stands for clarity, obstacles, navigation, finance, income, delivery, evaluation, nurture, thrive. Now, each of those steps of the roadmap addresses a specific area of business where thinking gets in the way of progress. And today I want to focus in on just 2 of those steps that connect directly to what we've just been talking about. So, many owners have a habit of treating problems like they're emergencies. So, sales dip, panic. Team issue, panic. Customer complaint, panic. Cash flow challenge, guess what? Panic. But what if instead of going into panic, what if you were to upgrade your operating system, your thinking? And then because of that new thinking, instead of going into panic mode, you pause. You let a bit of air out the tires, you slow down a little bit, and you take the time to evaluate, which is step 7 of the roadmap. What if before jumping in and asking, how do I fix this? Because of your new way of thinking, you ask a better question. Now that could be something like, what is this trying to teach me? What is this showing me? What opportunity exists here now that we didn't have before? What do I want to create from this? Because the quality of your questions shapes the quality of your decisions. And the quality of your decisions shapes the quality of your business. So most owners jump in and things like, How do I do this? How do I grow sales? How do I improve the business? How do I create systems? How do I get more time? But a much better question is, who can help me? Who already knows how to do this? Who could take responsibility for this? And the moment that an owner moves from how to who, which is step 8 of the confident roadmap, nurture, that's when everything starts to change, because now they're leading rather than doing. And that's often the difference between a business that creates freedom and one that creates dependency. Right. I want to do something with you. I don't just want to talk at you today. So I'm going to invite you to go and grab a piece of paper and a pen, or open the Notes app on your phone or your device. I'll give you 30 seconds to just pen and paper, or open the Notes app on your device. Everybody got something? Good. So what I want you to do is, on the left-hand side of the page, I want you to now write down 3 frustrations that you have in your business right now. Not some big long list, just 3. Take a minute to do that. Okay. And now, beside each one of those 3 frustrations, I want you to ask a question like, what belief might be sitting underneath this? What must I believe for this to be happening in my business? So let me give you a couple of examples, perhaps. If you're frustrated because you don't seem to have enough time, you might have a belief sitting under it that you need to be involved in everything, or people can't be trusted to get it right. You could have a belief that you don't have enough time. If your business isn't growing, you might have a belief that growth is difficult and complicated. If you've got cash flow issues, or you're not making you've got bad debts, then it could be that you've got this belief that customers won't pay us what we're really worth. If you're just in stress all the time, it could be that if I let go, everything's going to fall apart. So just take another minute and write down what comes to mind when you look at that one of your 3 frustrations. What belief is sitting behind that? And when you've got those done, can you actually drop one into the comments? What's the frustration? What's the belief that you believe is behind it? Well, here we go. Team members continually, my eyes, asking for approval from my belief that I need to be in control. Team members continually asking for approval because of my need that I feel I need to be in control. How do you type that fast? Really good to know that, isn't it, really? I'll show you what to do in a second. Good people have lost, or some good people have left because I have to keep an eye on everything. Yeah, that's right. Big brother. I've got some important work constantly getting pushed back because I think I need 28 hours in the day. Yeah. Okay, that won't help you, will it? Missed opportunities because I don't think the time is right. Okay, useful to know. Cash flow pressure because I believe people aren't going to pay that much. Really good one to know. Now, these are great. Keep them coming. Because the thing is, this is the real work that needs to be done. This is the work everybody needs to do. And it needs to be done with no judgment and no criticism. Right? We've got these beliefs. You can see them now written down. And what can and does sometimes happen is we beat ourselves up. How stupid am I for believing that belief? The key thing is just to get awareness of it. Get them out of your head. What are they? Because you can't change what you can't see. But once you see it, you can choose to think differently. So once you've gotten these beliefs written down, you can now hold on to the light. When you hold on to the light, you can start to see through them. And that's going to start to loosen the grip of that belief. Now, over the course of the weekend, your momentum move for today, by the way, a really useful exercise for you to do to sort of get some of these beliefs out of here onto paper is to upgrade your questioning. So you're upgrading your operating system and asking better questions. So you could ask questions like, what kind of life do I really want this business to create for you or for me? What kind of life do I actually want this business to create for me? What does a genuinely successful week look like for me? What does freedom actually mean in my world? What would I be doing more of if my business was running the way I've always hoped it would? Now, the thing is, when you ask questions like this, what you're doing is you're setting a new destination. And what that will tend to do is flush out any of those unuseful beliefs. That little voice is going to start piping up. Don't dream too big, whatever it says to you. But the thing is, if you don't know where you're trying to get to, it's absolutely impossible to know whether the current operating system, your current map, can take you there. Now, what I found during my 44 years of business is that the owners who build the most enjoyable businesses are not always the smartest in the room. They're not always the hardest working. They're the ones willing to challenge the beliefs that no longer serve them. And when they do that, the business changes, their team changes, their results change, and most importantly, their life changes. Now, if today's session has got you thinking that some of the beliefs, habits, standards, or the ways of thinking inside your business might be hindering your results, then I'd love for us to have a conversation. Perhaps you're working a lot harder than you feel you should have to. Perhaps the same problems keep coming up time and time again. Perhaps growth isn't translating into profit, cash flow, or the freedom that you expected. Or maybe you've built a successful business, but it still feels too dependent on you. Now, very often, the challenge isn't a lack of effort, capability, or ambition. It's the hidden operating system that's running a business and it needs updating. So on the call, together we'll explore where you are right now, where you'd like to get to, and then we'll identify the beliefs, the behaviors, the systems, the priorities that are holding you back. We'll also go deep into the confident roadmap and identify the biggest areas of opportunity for you to improve your profit, strengthen your cash flow, reduce your stress, and create more freedom for you. Now, if that sounds useful, just follow the link in the comments or DM me, and let's have a conversation. Always more than happy to help. Okay. Thank you for being here today. I do really appreciate it. And the next live will be slightly different time. It's going to be next Friday, I think. That might be the 26th of June at 4:30. And I'm going to be sharing one of the most powerful tools you'll ever get to use in business. Now, it'll help you really increase the profit without you necessarily needing some more customers or staff or hours. And it's called the Y Factor Profit Model. What I love about the model is it shows you exactly where the biggest opportunities for growth and profit are already sitting inside your business. They're already there. You're just not seeing them. So I'll show you how small improvements in the right places can completely change the financial performance of your business. So if you'd like to make more profit, improve your cash flow, and build a business that gives you more choices and more freedom, then you won't want to miss that one. Until then, go and create some real momentum. Make sure you have a cracking weekend as well. Thank you for joining me.